The story of Jacob and Esau is already full of drama, betrayal, divine promises. But the family saga doesn't stop there. Years after the infamous trade of the birthright and Jacob's desperate escape, he becomes the father of 12 sons, and one of them would shine so brightly that it would spark envy, separation, and eventually redemption. We're talking about Joseph, Jacob's favorite son, who received a gift from his father that would change the course of his life, a coat of many colors. But before we dive into the impact of this tunic, we need to go back and understand the context behind Jacob's controversial choice. Why was Joseph the favorite? And why did a simple gift cause so much outrage among his brothers? This is where the story takes another turn. One so cinematic, it could be the plot of a film, yet it's right there in the pages of the Bible. Joseph was the son of Rachel, the woman Jacob deeply loved. After years of working for his father-in-law and being deceived time after time, Jacob finally married Rachel, though she struggled for years to bear children. When she finally gave birth, Joseph was born, and with him came an emotional weight that marked Jacob's heart. Joseph was a symbol of fulfillment, of divine promise, of true love. That's why Jacob treated him differently from all his other sons. To make this favoritism visible, Jacob had a long, colorful robe made just for Joseph, a rare, beautiful garment fit for royalty. In that culture, it was more than a gift. It was a public declaration of preference, a direct insult to his other sons. The result? A toxic atmosphere within the family that grew more dangerous with time. Joseph's brothers didn't hide their jealousy. Seeing him wear that robe, walking with pride, protected by their father, stirred up a deep and growing anger. To make things worse, Joseph began to have prophetic dreams in which his brothers bowed down to him. Whether naive or simply unaware, Joseph shared these dreams in detail, unknowingly fanning the flames of resentment. One day, while they were tending the flocks far from home, the brothers saw Joseph approaching and decided to act. They tore off his colorful coat, threw him into a dry well, and later sold him as a slave to traders headed for Egypt. To cover their crime, they soaked the coat in animal blood and took it back to Jacob, who was devastated, believing his beloved son had been devoured by a wild animal. The coat, once a symbol of love, became a painful memory. But what no one knew was that this was not the end. It was only the beginning of a greater divine plan. While Jacob mourned his son's supposed death, and Esau's story faded into the background, Joseph's journey in Egypt began, and even in slavery, his life took an astonishing turn. The Bible shows that God was with Joseph, even in the darkest moments. Though falsely accused and thrown into prison, he never gave up on his faith. In the right time, Joseph was pulled from prison and brought before Pharaoh, where he interpreted dreams that no one else could understand, and he was made the second most powerful man in Egypt. Years later, during a devastating famine, his brothers came to Egypt begging for food, unaware that the powerful man before them was the same brother they had betrayed. In that deeply emotional reunion, Joseph demonstrated the true power of redemption. He forgave them, revealed his identity, and embraced his family, showing that God's plan had prevailed over every act of hatred and suffering. The story of the colorful coat goes far beyond a beautiful gift. It represents human choices that carry consequences, but it also shows how God can transform pain into purpose. Joseph was sold, humiliated, and forgotten by men, but never abandoned by God. And when the time was right, he was raised up and used to save not only his family, but an entire nation. Jacob, who grieved for so long, would eventually see his son again, alive and honored. And for us, hearing this story reminds us that even when everything seems lost, the divine plan is still unfolding. A colorful robe marked the beginning of a journey that passed through the desert of pain to reach the throne of hope. Did this story move you? Then like the video, share it with someone who needs this message. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories that ignite faith and inspire the heart.